System monitoring can help users check on how much system resources are being used and which apps are consuming what percentage of it. It's very helpful. It helps the user to properly manage the applications as well as make sure that the system is in good health. Of course, there are many built-in tools available for system monitoring in Linux. So we'll look at some of them. So to see the status of disk, DF, which is an abbreviation for disk-free, this is the command used to display the amount of available disk space for file systems on which the invoking user has appropriate read access. The -H parameter prints sizes in human readable format, of course. Now, hopefully you remember from the previous lectures we already practiced the top command. So top command is used to show the Linux processes. It provides a dynamic real-time view of the running system. Now, to see the status of RAM, the /proc/meminfo file is another alternative way. It's used to report the amount of free and unused memory on the system, as well as the shared memory and buffers used by the kernel. To check the status of the CPU, Virtual Memory Statistics Reporter, also known as VMstat. This is a Linux command line tool that reports various bits of system information. So /proc/CPUinfo is a short read-only plaintext file that contains information about the CPUs, or central processing units, on a particular computer. Now, to check the status of the network, netstat can be used to list out all of the network socket connections on a system. There are some important parameters to netstat. -T is the parameter used to get TCP packets. -N is used to avoid domain name resolution. -L is the parameter used to list only the listening ports. The -P parameter is used to list the PID and name of the program. The -S parameter will get you some statistics. And of course, a root parameter displays the kernel routing table. That must be so confusing to the UK users, huh? Who say root and router. Anyway, let's go to Kali and look how each tool works. So first, let's run df-h. So as you can see, it displays the space available on all the currently mounted file systems. Now, if you happen to be using Mac OS, you can also run this in the terminal screen. So let's go back to Kali, run the top command. And these are the running processes with their PIDs, usage percentage of CPU, memory, some other detailed information. And press Q to quit. Now let's have a look at the content of the /proc/meminfo file. So this will display the status of the RAM, and the output of this command would be different depending on the OS and architecture of the server. All right, so let's continue with the status of CPU. VMstat provides a number of values and will typically be called using two numerical parameters. Number 2 will provide the values and will be remeasured and reported every 2 seconds. Number 5 will provide the values that will be reported 5 times, and then the program will stop. All right, so no anticipating for you. Now, the other way to get some information about the CPU is the proc CPU info file. As you can see, there's lots of detailed information about CPUs, such as model name, cache size, speed, CPU cores, and all that. All right, so we'll have a look at the status of the network. Run netstat-tnlp. That'll show the active connections with TCP packets and PIDs. So let's use netstat-s parameter. As you can see, the -s argument will show overall stats, and this is how you can pay attention to packets discarded messages. And then finally, we can use the route parameter. Or is it root parameter? Well, not if I'm a root user. So if the connection's not working as expected because the connection goes through a different route, it may be necessary to quickly check the routing table. So it includes information about how packets are to be forwarded, and it's stored in a kernel structure.